So the title of my talk is Augmented Reality, Educational Applications, Retrospect and Prospect. So retrospect is really the systematic literature review we are doing now. So and the prospect, so what we are going to do next. So, okay, oops. Oh, the slide does not move forward. Oh, something wrong with my computer. Okay, sorry. Here. So I hope you can see because it seems, okay, oops, not that good. So actually, maybe a little bit about my university. So Dusan know a lot about it because he graduated from here. So basically, Leicester is in the heart of UK, so to say. So you can see that the circle. So in the so-called in the Midlands of UK, so not far away from London. So we have 3 colleges in our university. So the School of Informatics is under Science and Engineering. There are other departments in Life Science and Social Sciences. So we have about altogether 12,000 undergrad and 5,000 postgraduate. So they also have academic staff and support staff. So the School of Informatics is quite a relatively small department in the university, but we are very active research and teaching. So a little bit about myself. So I'm a human-computer interaction researcher for more than 2 decades now. So I'm the leader of the group so-called Interaction Design and Evaluation for Socio-Technical System. So basically, so my main research area is usability and user experience methodology. So it can be applied to very so-called basic theory and methodological approach, and also applied to different areas. So technology enhanced learning. So like what I have done with Dosen when he was my PhD students, we work on e-learning project. I still have been doing quite a lot on e-learning project. So games and gamification, and also a newer area for me to explore is the affective computing. So detect emotion automatically and somehow adapt the user interface. So to support user have a better so-called interaction experience. This is what I'm now working on. So, but at the same time, also very active in still on e-learning project. So talking about the augmented reality, I assume that most of you know about augmented reality, but still I want to give a definition about it. So there are many definitions actually out there, but the most common one or most well-received one is the 1997 by Asuma. So the 3 basic characteristics of augmented reality is it combines real and virtual content, it is interactive in real time, and also it is registered in 3 dimensions, 3D. So this will make it very engaging. So, but I'm going to talk about our systematic literature review. Maybe many of you already know about that, but still I want to give a definition to make sure that we're on the same page. So a systematic literature review is to identify relevant research studies on a particular topic. So in this context, we're looking at the augmented reality educational applications. We analyze and synthesize the construct of interest, so produce a report and a deep understanding about the phenomenon we are interested in. So, and most important, we want to draw implication what we can do next after we have done a systematic literature review. So as I mentioned that our systematic literature review so-called SLR focus on AR educational applications. So here I just give us few so-called illustrations, what can be applied, what topics. You can see most of them are STEM subject, biology, chemistry, and also some of them 3D geometry. So, but you can also apply to language. So illustrate some scenario that children can engage in the 3D scenario, they can engage with the objects. So I have a high pedagogical value. So because it's illuminating, so can illustrate some concept that normally cannot illustrate in 2D. So it's very powerful presentations using AR. So multisensory, you can also add audio and also haptile sensation. So make the whole education application very interesting, engaging, and fun. And you also look very nice, aesthetically, very pleasing. so interactive. So as a result, very immersive feeling. So the children or the learner can really immerse in the environment. They can interact with virtual objects. So at the end, we hope they have a fun and pleasure during learning, because some learning children regarding as boring, but you try to make it more entertaining. At the same time, they can also stimulating and challenging. So then they are actually, applying AR in education is not new. It has been around for more than 2 decades now. So, and also since 2013, so many researchers already try to get a hang of what is going on in this particular area. So several systematic literature review already undertaken since 2013. So this is, but most of these systematic literature review are from the educational perspective. Of course, it's because it's talk about educational applications. So this diagram, this flow chart is typically when you do the SLR, so you do the PRISMA. So this is the scheme that we should follow when you do the SLR. So I will not go into detail, but just example. So there are many, many steps we need to follow to do SLR. So, but then because my background, so is from human-computer interaction, I'm more interested in usability and user experience. So I want to conduct an SLR, not only from the educational perspective, but actually more from the usability and user experience perspective. So then there are at least 10 SLR have been conducted, but what are the main results? So there are 3 major results about the augmented reality educational applications. One is the use of AR can result in learning gain, but not very significant, but as a moderate extent, but at least they prove that it is beneficial to use augmented reality. So because it can increase motivation, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is very illuminating, very engaging. So this increased the motivation of children when they engage with the learning object and content. And also one of the phenomenon they observe is most of the content is related to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So, but there's still some usage in language, in cultural understanding. So there are a small percentage on that, but majority is about STEM. So it is, on one hand, is encouraging, but on the other hand, we also think, so can we apply AR also in other domains? So is this one of the implications coming out for this SLR? Maybe we can do more for other subjects as well. So as I mentioned, that I want to do the SLR more from the usability and user experience. But what is usability and user experience? As I want to touch upon some basic concept. So, and actually from the usability and user experience perspective, so we always emphasize user needs. We want to understand what they need, what they prefer, and we analyze the learning task or educational task. So then we design it in according to the needs of the students and also according to the needs of the teachers, because they are the most important person involved in teaching in educational context. So, and we always, from the HCI perspective, human-computer interaction perspective, we encourage people to do evaluation as early as possible, not only towards the end of the project, we have to do it in the early phase. So in order to identify what's the problem with the design, so-called the design flaws. So, and usability problems, if we identify early enough, we can fix them also in time. If we evaluate too late, you have no resources, no time to fix it, there's no good. So, and also make sure that the product, the interactive process and product really meet the user expectation and preference. Otherwise, they will not accept the product, they will reject the product, then you waste of time to develop something that nobody will use it. So this is important to do usability and user experience evaluation and design early on. So, and more formal definition of usability, it has been established So in the field of HCI for quite a long time, you can say almost 4 decades. So, and the ISO standards so govern how people can apply usability concept, can apply usability process. So this is a definition of usability is well known in the research area and also in the industrial area, because many industrial projects also follow usability standards. So there are 3 major so-called constructs under usability is effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. So effectiveness, that means you can achieve the goal with the interactive product or interactive system. Efficiency, you use minimal time, optimal time, but you can achieve your goal. Satisfaction is your user are okay, are happy, are satisfied with the product. So I just go it very briefly to put my perspective in context, so to say. So, and going from usability, we move to user experience. Because usability, we talk about mainly so-called the pragmatic quality, we ensure the performance, we ensure the productivity, but it's not enough. So we also want to emphasize user have emotional response, they also have experience that is important for them to accept and adopt a product. So that's why we move beyond usability, so-called the user experience. So again, ISO standard, we have a definition for it, but the definition is a bit vague. So you say the user perception and responses that results from the use and anticipated use of a system, product, or service. But you can see this is actually cover almost everything. But what I want to emphasize is the emotional response, the experience. So rather user happy or not, rather user have pleasure or they delighted using your product or not is very important. So in terms of the augmented reality educational application, also very important. If students don't enjoy using it or teacher don't enjoy using it, then the product cannot work. So, and there's a lot of actually so-called usability and UX model there. So bringing in different constructs, so but I'm not going through into each of the models. It will take another hour to do it. So just to illustrate, there are a lot of modules, frameworks out there for researcher and practitioner to apply. And also there are a lot of methods. So this is one of the website. If you go to that website, Usability.gov, you can find a lot of information about usability methods, tools, concepts, so and so. I will not go through the detail, but just want to introduce to you. This is the where we can find different kinds of methods and the descriptions there. So usability, as I said, is quite established for almost 4 decades, 40 years. But UX also quite almost 20 years now. So they also have, I'm also part of the active group promoting user experience evaluation methods. So this is the website we created, so-called All About UX. So if you go to this website, you can also find a lot of UX methods. So if you want to apply to your product. So what I want to point out that there are many methods out there, there are many frameworks out there. But my question to myself is, to what extent, so these frameworks, concept, methods, and tools have been applied in designing and evaluating augmented reality education applications. So I want to know which methods the researcher have used, why they choose a certain methods, how they apply it, with whom they apply the frameworks and methods, and where they apply it inside the school or outside the school or elsewhere, science museum or science center, and what are the outcomes. So I want to go through the literature to see, so to understand, so what these apply. So, and they are actually, I'm not the only one, of course, to think about the application of this area about usability, user experience in AR apps. So there are 3 SLR already out there by these 3 researcher group. You can see the first one, 2013, or more recently, 2018. So, but then all these 3 research groups, they investigate usability quite closely, but then, however, they didn't analyze any usability frameworks. Rather, other research groups have applied usability frameworks. You cannot tell from the SLR. So, and also they did not inform about what usability problems have been identified with the augmented reality apps. So what are the problem, why the problem occur, and how they fix it. You cannot find any information in these 3 SLR, quite disappointing for me. So, and they are not focused on user experience. And they have also limited implications for how to improving the usability and UX. So that's why this motivate myself and also my research team look into this issue. So how the existing augmented reality education application apply usability and UX principle. So this is our goal, to gain data-driven insight into design and evaluation of augmented reality educational tools used by schools. So not only inside school, but also outside schools. So, and also 3 research questions we want to address. As I mentioned already, what usability and UX frameworks they have used, and what are the relation between the usability qualities and the learning outcome of using the education applications, and what are the problems, how can they be fixed, and what are the future. So along this line of research. So this is our process, actually, basically follow the PRISMA, so a standard process. So we look at the 4 database, Web of Science, Scopus, IEEE, and ACM, the 4 large database. We normally will retrieve paper from this database. So then we screen the paper to see whether they meet the inclusion or exclusion criteria. Then we have to really go through the paper to see they meet the quality criteria as well. Then we do the analyze and synthesis to draw the implications and produce a report. So, and we're still on the analysis and synthesis are still ongoing. I'm sorry that I cannot produce the detailed results to you today, but what can I tell you is really, really time-consuming process. So we identified 714 papers from the 4 database, and also some papers from existing systematic literature review. We somehow filter and down to 97 paper, so it's so-called the scoping review. But if we apply the quality assessment, so reduce down to 48. So we're still doing the analysis. So hopefully in the next conference, I can present more detail about what we have found from our literature review. So actually our systematic literature review is being done in the context of this EU project called ARETE. So this ARETE, so this is the website you can go to find more detailed information about it. So the goal is to, as this snapshot of the homepage already indicate, to develop and evaluate the effectiveness of an interactive AR content toolkit. So we have developed some kind of toolkit, help researcher, teacher, and practitioner to develop their own AR educational content. So there's a YouTube there, so you can look at your time, because today this is not enough time to go through the YouTube. So basically, we are building 3 so-called demonstration domain. So it's the English language learning, STEM education, again, STEM because it's really very popular and very important area. So, and the 3rd domain we touch upon maybe a bit unusual is so-called the positive behavior and intervention support, PBIS. So we will conduct so-called 3 major pilots. So we will test the 3 prototype into different with a teacher in different European countries. So the pilot 1, 2, and 3. So I remember some of the Turkish school also involved in one of the pilots, or all 3 pilots. So I think, yeah, it'll be very exciting to see the outcomes, rather teacher and children really appreciate the AR system we developed. So this is the results again will be available next year. So because the pilot only run in summer next year. So, and talking about this, we also have a questionnaire we would like to support. So we have a free questionnaire. So we want to know how this primary school teacher, secondary school students, So the primary school students and the teachers, how they apply augmented reality or not at all. So, and also the experience of using augmented reality. So we have the different languages so available. So if you have time, or you can also fill out yourself or encourage your contact in school. So to help to fill out this questionnaire. So this the URL is here. So yeah, thank you for your attention. So I will happy to answer any questions.